the teabagging is all over, except for the cleanup. And that will be my last intentional double entendre on this one, at least until the end of the segment. Our number 2 story tonight, the sad reality behind the corporate-sponsored tea parties. Visual proof that this is not about spending, deficits, or taxes, but about some Americans getting riled up about these things, riled up by the people who cause these things, and finally about some Americans who just hate the President of the United States. According to both the conservative organs, the New York Post and Washington Times, see, there was another double entendre coming. The protests only drew, quote, tens of thousands nationwide, despite relentless 24/7 promotion on Fox News, including live telecasts from several locations, like Fox's Neil Cavuto, caught yesterday off-air estimating his crowd in California's capital at 5,000, and then on-air claiming it might have been 10 or 15,000. Despite Cavuto's live show with radio talker Michael Reagan there, Sacramento police put the crowd at just over 5,000. Quote, I wouldn't say it was among the largest we've seen here, but 5,000 is pretty large for the West Steps. And then there were the protest messages, seething with hate. Cavuto calling that hate bipartisan, quote, they hate Republicans who waste money, they hate Democrats who waste money. That claim put to the test in Pensacola when an unemployed blogger named Jeff accepted an invitation to speak to Florida.
Thank you very much. I want to start also by honoring the service of our veterans, our current service members, our Gold Star parents. Thank you so much for all you've done for this country. I also want to say a little history lesson here. Back in 2000, there was a budget surplus in the country. And during the next 8 years, it was destroyed by the profligate spending of the Bush administration. And so here we are today in a situation where we have to cheer if you make less than $250,000 a year. Just cheer. Your taxes are going to be cut under the current budget. Congratulations. I was laid off in September because my employer had to make budget cuts. That was before the election, okay? So let's remember that if you're going to argue about lower taxes and less spending, to place the blame where the blame belongs, and that's squarely in the hands of the Republican Congress until 2010 and the Bush administration.
Congratulations, Pensacola teabaggers. You got spunk. And despite the hatred on display, few of you actually violated the penal code, but teabagging is now petered out. Tain't what it used to be. And when you co-opt the next holiday, 4th of July, try to adopt a holiday food that does not invite double entendres like, you know, Franks and beans. On a more serious note, we're now joined by actor and activist Janeane Garofalo. Good to see you.
Thank you. You know, there is nothing more interesting than seeing a bunch of racists become confused and angry at a speech they're not quite certain what he's saying. It sounds right to them, and then it doesn't make sense, which... Let's be very honest about what this is about. It's not about bashing Democrats. It's not about taxes. They have no idea what the Boston Tea Party was about.
That's right.
They don't know their history at all. This is about hating a black man in the White House. This is racism straight up. That is nothing but a bunch of tea-bagging rednecks. And there is no way around that. And, you know, you can tell these type of right-wingers anything and they'll believe it except the truth. You tell them the truth and they become, it's like showing Frankenstein's monster fire. They become confused and angry and highly volatile. That guy caused in them feelings they don't know, because their limbic brain, we've discussed this before, the limbic brain inside a right-winger or Republican or conservative or your average white power activist, the limbic brain is much larger in their head space than in a reasonable person, and it's pushing against the frontal lobe. So their synapses are misfiring. Is Bernie Goldberg listening?
Yes.
Yeah, because Bernie might not have heard this when I said this the first time. So, Bernie, this is for you. It is a neurological problem that we're dealing with.
Well, what do you do about it, though? I mean, our friend in Pensacola there, who played them like a $3 fiddle, and led them right down the garden path with nothing but facts, and then they went, "Wait a minute, that doesn't sound like Rush Limbaugh."
Right.
If you can't get them to make that last leap to what are we all doing here? Howard Johnson is wrong. You know, how do you break through that?
I don't think you do for most of them. This is it's almost pathological or elevated to a philosophy or a lifestyle. Yeah. And again, this is about racism. It could be any issue, any port in a storm. These guys hate that a black guy is in the White House. But they immigrant bash. They pretend it's taxes and tea bags. And like I said, most of them couldn't probably tell you thing one about taxation without representation, the Boston Tea Party, the British imperialism, whatever the history lesson has to be. But these people, all white, for the most part, unless there's some people with Stockholm Syndrome.
Right, and I didn't see them. They were in the back. They weren't near the cameras, which is bad strategy on the part of the people who were staging this at Fox.
True. And Fox News loves to foment this anti-intellectualism because that's their bread and butter. If you have a cerebral electorate, Fox News goes down the toilet, you know, very, very fast. But it is sick and sad to see Neil Cavuto doing that. But they've been doing this for years. That's why Roger Ailes and Rupert Murdoch started this venture, is to disinform and to coarsen and dumb down a certain segment of the electorate. But what is really, I didn't know there were so many racists left. I didn't know that. You know, because as I said, the Republican hyphen, the conservative movement has now crystallized into the white power movement.
Is that not a bad long-term political strategy? Because even though your point is, you know, terrifying that there are that many racists left, the flip side of it is there aren't that many racists left.
They're the minority. I mean, literally tens of people showed up to this thing across the country.
But if you spear your television network or your political party towards a bunch of guys who are just looking for a reason to yell at the black president, eventually you will marginalize yourself out of business, won't you? Or at least
no, there's no shortage. Here's what the right wing has there's no shortage of the natural resources of ignorance, apathy, hate, fear. As long as those things are in the collective conscious and unconscious, the Republicans will have some votes. Fox News will have some viewers. But what else have they got? If they didn't do that, who's going to watch? You know, I mean, they have tackled that elusive clam. I said clam. You know, the clam demo, the 18 to 35 clam demo, clan with a K demo. But you know, who else is Fox talking to? I mean, what is it? Urban, older white guys.
Yeah.
And the girlfriend, and you know, the women who suffer from Stockholm Syndrome. Again, there's a lot of Stockholm Syndrome, is what I'm saying. Ultimately. What else you want? What else you gotta? What do you want to know?
What happens if somebody who's at one of these things hurts somebody?
Oh, that is an unfortunate byproduct since the dawn of time of a volatile group like this, of the limbic brain. Violence, unfortunately, may or may not ensue. It's like I said, the Republican Party now depends upon immigrant bashing and hating the black guy in the White House. Will people act on that? It's not new. But, you know, Fox doesn't mind fomenting it. Michelle Bachmann doesn't mind fomenting it. Glenn Beck doesn't mind fomenting it.
Lou Dobbs.
Lou Dobbs, oh, man, he sure doesn't mind. But this is their, what have they got if they don't have this? You know what I mean? It's like an identity politics of the worst kind.
They'd have peace in our time if they didn't.
Is Bernie still listening?
Bernie doesn't listen.
Bernie G?
Bernie listened for about 2 minutes last week, and that was it. That was his
he doesn't watch your show?
No. I meant in general. That was his year's contribution to the actual political.
Oh, I was hoping I could move up the rung from 5 to at least 3.
Janeane Garofalo, number 5, comedian, actress, political activist, and the expert on the limbic brain. Great thanks as always.
Very much thanks to you.
Always my pleasure.